Let's look at some new video into us from the staging area for searchers and investigators in the French Alps. Teams are moving up and down the mountainside in helicopters and on foot, but that is slow going and very difficult terrain. There are some of the searchers. Let's show you live scene. Also another camera angle again in that same staging area. This is the scene where German, French, and Spanish leaders are expected. They want to see the crash site. They want to pay their respects to the 150 victims. And you can see, again, some of the teams there lined up and awaiting the leaders. And we'll show you that scene live as they arrive on scene. Another camera, though, trained on our reporter, Jeff Semple, who is part of our coverage team in the Alps and bringing us the very latest. You've seen that scene. Jeff, you're right there for us. So set the scene, what's happening high up in the Alps this hour.
Well, at this hour, Heather, as you mentioned, we are waiting for the leaders of Germany, France, and Spain to arrive here at the staging area. Really, at any moment now, the barricade has been set up, and we are told that they can arrive any second, really. Their visit here, of course, comes at the same time as we're also expecting a number of the family members of some of the victims who were killed in that horrible crash, are presumed dead, of course. They are also said to be on their way here to the staging area. Some of them also hoping reportedly to go up in a helicopter to see the crash site for themselves. We have been seeing a steady stream of search and recovery helicopters all morning flying overhead here, heading to that where the debris was found, some 2,000 meters up the altitude where the plane crashed into the mountainside. People who have seen it, those on a helicopter yesterday who got close enough, described it as a picture of horror, saying that the plane had been absolutely ripped apart, debris, thousands of pieces of it scattered for acres and acres, saying it is absolutely impossible to imagine that someone could have survived this crash. And indeed, as we've been reporting all morning, the passengers are presumed dead. We are hearing more and more about their identities, who they are. We'd heard early on that many of them were, of course, German and Spanish nationals, given that the plane was flying from Spain to Germany. We're also hearing, in fact, in the last couple of hours, that the passengers came from a range of different countries, from Mexico, Japan, the United Kingdom, among others. So certainly this is a tragedy that has struck not only people right here in Europe, but right around the world, Heather.
You're absolutely right. The additions this morning, 3 Britons and 2 Americans. Those were surprises this morning as we learned who and was really on that passenger list, and we don't have the full scope of that yet. The investigation, Jeff, as you've been talking, we've been honing in on some of those pictures on the damaged voice recorder from the cockpit. Where does the investigation stand, and how important will that be to the search for answers?
Well, right now, that voice recorder that was recovered from the crash site yesterday is certainly seen as the key to the investigation at this point. That voice recorder is being examined at this hour, and in fact, we're being told we could be getting an update on what they found from it even later today. So moving quite quickly, clearly. There is another flight recorder said to still be up on that mountain, so they are looking for that at this hour. French President Francois Hollande said himself that at this point they're not ruling out any hypothesis in terms of the potential cause of this crash, though they do believe it was an accident, and they're hoping those black boxes can help explain why the plane went down, a question that has so far confounded aviation analysts who say it simply doesn't make sense that a plane flying at cruising altitude, albeit just briefly at 38,000 feet, would then descend for several minutes inexplicably without making any kind of mayday call. So hopefully we'll get some answers on that question potentially a little bit later today, Heather.
Jeff